Sanjay Hegde, it's quite clear from what we are hearing from Minister Kiran Rijiju, from Satya Pal Jain, the Additional Solicitor General of India, that the government's thinking at the moment is that sedition needs to change. They want to tweak what constitutes sedition. They're also upset with the way the Maharashtra government has imposed some of the provisions of the law against BJP MPs, so they are disturbed by how it's being misused in parts, but they believe that sedition needs to stay. Do you think the Supreme Court has gone as far as it could, or should it have pressed further?
Well, the Supreme Court, as Justice Ganguly correctly pointed out, has done what it could given the circumstances. Constituting a 7-judge bench is not very easy for any Chief Justice. No, and so what the Supreme Court has done is to have seized upon a concession that the government made. The government said that it will take a relook. The Supreme Court says that till you take a relook, let's keep all matters on hold, because ultimately you cannot foresee where a relook goes. The government may, after a relook, say, yes, not disaffection against the government, but violent conspiracy against the Union of India or any state, or if it were to reword it, as Mr. Jain suggests. But at the end of the day, sedition ultimately is a species of what George Orwell famously called thought crime. If you can contemplate something, Mr. Jain gave the example of Bharat Tere Tukde Honge, Inshallah, Inshallah. Now, there are many people who may contemplate such things. Do you think as a society and as a country, are you strong enough to withstand even bad ideas like that? Should you penalize citizens for saying what they think if there is no violence? In the United States, for instance, even burning the flag is part of free speech. The same United States recently has also prosecuted certain individuals in the January 6th insurrection for seditious conspiracy. So the distinction there is that when you seek to overthrow the established order of the country itself, an insurrection against the country, an attack on the capital, that could be sedition with violence. Mere contemplation that this one will destruct, this one will self-destruct, all that.
Satya Pal Jain, respond to the point that Sanjay Hegde makes, that it's not a slogan which is seditious, but rather whether it led to violence, whether it led to any upheaval, whether it led to anything which genuinely constitutes an anti-national activity, not because you have a crazy idea. The state is strong enough to be able to withstand bad ideas.
Indirectly, he agrees with my submission. And when he says that simpliciter, inshallah, India tere tukde honge, unless it is followed by violence, according to him, it is not sedition. Let's take an example. After this, there is a violence. You indulge in violence for that purpose. Will that not be sedition? And if that is sedition, then sedition law has to be there. Therefore, the government of India has very fairly said under the leadership of PM Modi, we will revise it, we will reconsider it, we will come out with our plan. You cannot say that you may even indulge in violence, you may shout, you may plan to overthrow the government, you may incite violence, public disorder, disaffection, do everything that is possible for you against the nation or the state. And still you say, no, there should be no sedition.
Sanjay Hegde, do you agree with this? That ultimately India needs a sedition
there is
law.
A difference.
We need to tone it down, tweak it, reassess it, but we can't strike it down.
Yes.
I think you should do away with sedition. Sedition, as it is currently worded, is against the government of the day by law established.
No.
Which means whether it is Mr. Jain. No, just 1 minute, Mr. Jain. Let me complete. No, see, whether it is X government or Y government, if you show disaffection, then you come within the section.
No.
All kinds of situations which incite violence, there are 100 other provisions which you can use. So today, as free citizens of a free country, should we not independently be able to express whatever thought, whatever crazy thought, without having a howitzer of a section which says life imprisonment? please do away with the idea of sedition.
Justice Ganguly, where do you come
have
out on
war
this
against
issue?
the state.
Should sedition be done away per se, or as Satya Pal Jain argues, tone it down but keep the provision?
No, I tell you that slogans like Bharat Tukre Honge and all this, that can be already tackled under the restriction which is imposed on our free speech. One of the restriction on our free speech is maintenance of public order, and that free speech must not incite to an offence. These are the two restrictions already there. On the basis of these two restrictions, free speech can be curbed. Sedition is not required. This is sedition. Kindly look at the history of the law of sedition. Why it is 124A? Do you know the reason? Initially, when the penal code was drafted, it was in the draft code, but final code it was not there. Then it was discovered that it was not there. The British colonial masters, they reintroduced it. That is why it became 124A. And it was dictated by the needs of colonialism. Look at the cases which were filed. Tilak was tried thrice, and one of the grounds why he was tried was because during plague he criticized the government's inaction, and he was slapped with sedition. Then again, when he wanted Swaraj, he was slapped with sedition. You see, these are the reasons. Gandhiji was slapped with sedition. And Gandhiji has given a very good definition of what is meant by sedition. He said, if one has no affection for a person or a system, one should be free to give the fullest expression to his dissatisfaction, so long he does not promote, contemplate or incite violence.